If you truly wish to be happy in this realm, the next 8 words that you hear can change everything. He who makes you mad is your master. Before we progress, I want to ask you a question. Do you believe that you are a small, insignificant human that walks around a massive planet that in itself is set adrift in an immense cosmos? It's cool. You can admit it. It's just me and you. Be honest. The truth of the matter is very different because all of the above, me included, takes place inside your awareness. Ergo, this message is being beamed from a figment of your imagination. How's that for a head trip? Let me state again. He who makes you mad is your master. I know this is the exact opposite from the cancel culture, boo-hoo, I'm triggered, everyone I don't agree with is worse than Hitler himself mind state. But have you ever questioned exactly how and why this was programmed in, my friend? Let's take the you that you is, right, and move you back a couple of generations. Do you think you'd think the same? Of course you wouldn't. So either both of their minds are fake or they're both real. What is it? If you comprehend that the only genuine thing in both of them cases is the witness, is the thing that sees the seeing, then you have a potential to awaken, which is great. And look, don't think I'm dissing anyone's movement or hashtag operation or keyboard activism and all the rest of this stuff, right? The simple fact of the matter is, yes, change needs to come, but change only comes from within. These people don't actually like themselves, and they're looking for someone to blame as a vent for this, but they'll never, ever admit this. So let me say it once again. He who makes you mad is your master. And very often this is because they rep things that you've either suppressed or wish you could manifest in yourself. But that is a deeper topic. You're free to introspect yourself. Next time it happens and you feel that triggered sensation creeping in, pay a bit of attention instead of raging. Find out where your body is tensed and how you are or aren't breathing. If you wish to diffuse an old argument that happens on habit, then move these 2 variables. After all, it's your mind, it's your body, it's your flesh, it's your control, so use it. Dance a jig. Start laughing instead. Do something different. This breaks what I term patterns. Patterns are like rogue programs inside your internal OS. They were etched back when you were impressionable as a child. Many of them are not yours, and a lot of them were inherited from your bloodline. So they didn't serve them well because most of them were miserable, so garbage in, garbage out. You've got to change the game, my friend. They aren't you. And in many ways, they obscure who you truly are in its infinite magnificence. But then drowning men cling to bricks as well. So it is what it is. Now, you remember before what I said about being the only soul in this realm and interacting with figments of your imagination? It works like this. Believe it or not, you have never touched an atom. And your eyes tell immense amounts of fibs, because they decode a tiny fragment of the EM spectrum, whilst your brain takes in millions, if not billions of bits of data per second, which is then edited by showing you what it is you expect to see. How many bits are left after those billions that pumped in? 10. Really, let that one sink in, my friend. It's pretty impressive, and I can prove it. It's all due to the reticular activating system. Do you remember back when your friend passed his test and all of a sudden you noticed the same make and model of car everywhere? This is because your RAS was activated and it was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. You were filled with big thrills and massive grins when you saw this, so it must be important. Let it through the filters. Now the same works for trauma and stress as well. So basically, you don't see the world as it is, but you're seeing it as you are. So how is your life, my friend? What's kicking? See, it's a hint to awaken in many ways. That's the true nature of the game, and we're playing it on one of the most difficult stages. I mean, if enlightenment was easy, everyone would be cool, but they ain't. They're all paying electric bills instead. Now, the first key to self-mastery is comprehending the matter with spirit, aka the Earth Day suit you are wearing. The next is being honest and seeing if the life you live does what it says on the tin, or could it do with some reprogramming? Granted, look, this is once again contrary to the whole keep up with trend, but all celebs are miserable, hence the immense amounts of dysfunction, addiction, and the constant need for validation. I mean, none of them are ever going to admit this. Well, Jim Carrey did, but that's only because he wised up to the game and realized movies are an encoded transmission of gnosis. Watch that vid if you haven't yet, or don't. That's on you. Just like the next time you rage and fume when someone does something irritating. Like, there was a dude back when, right? I told him he didn't have a mind, And he yelled that I was off my meds, talking a load of nonsense, and how that was the stupidest thing he'd ever heard. And I replied, cool, you don't have a giraffe's head. And he was perplexed. Read the rest of that article to see what kicked, because this simple conversation led him down to such an intense funk of depression as he came to the conclusion that he did not have a mind, and how this darkness swiftly turned to light that made his steps spring, his chest sing, and his lips grin. That's all I'm offering. Another option. You can reject, or you can attempt. I can't force a thing, and neither will I. That's your reality tunnel, so you deal with it. But it's telling is how often you keep having the same arguments, yes? The other is not going to shift, as they simply rep a projection from within, and they're there to push along your script a bit further along the treadmill. Change your mind, change your life. It's as simple as that. The alternative is having an itch and then going to go scratch a photo instead. That's so stupid, but people do it. People do it. Let me tell you an occult secret as to why crying like a bitch and yelling that so-and-so should get cancelled is actively promoted in this realm at the present moment. A. It keeps you weak. B. It ensures you are powerless. And C. All of these mewling lepers then turn around and hand over their power to another person who will gladly take all they can get, and then who will beat them over the head with it and gaslight them into thinking it's someone else so they come back again. You have to marvel at the genius, the elegance of this entire ruse. Listen, there are 3 types of souls playing the game. 81% are enslaved by the voice in their head, and they believe it is them. It says they do. No argument. If you stop and think, you'll click that before any fights ever happened in your life, it's this mirage of consciousness that made up your mind for you, and you repeated its intent. How many times you had a beef and then afterwards when you cool down you think, why the hell did I do that? What do you think's happening? Why do you think the word individual, when you break it down to its true components and see through the spell, is inwardly divided and dual? This is the predator of consciousness that I'm mentioning, my friend. Now, 8% click they aren't it, but they realize they're that which listens, and this changes everything. As they start seeing through the ruse, and then they detect more and more clues about the primacy of consciousness, and this makes them question everything. Do you see what I mean about the reticular activating system and how you can reprogram your mind? I mean, getting back to the questions, when did you stop asking them? Really think about it. Though you were naturally curious when you were born, and then at some point you thought you had it all figured out. And interestingly, at the same pace, everything got less interesting and amusing and fun and creative and adventurous. That's the exact moment you got adulterated. So start asking those questions again and see what happens. But the most amazing thing is that voice in your head will be telling you, pay no attention to this BS. It's you and da 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 da. Most would not even have made it this far, as it would have clicked the threat back when I asked the initial question. So congratulations if you're still tuned in to your irregularly scheduled deprogramming. The other 11% that are part of this equation, they're not even worthy of my attention, so I'm not going to mention them. They need you to fight. So they set both sides against the middle. And ironically, the middle is the only place you can get centered in self. When you get centered in self, then everything starts to shift as you realize you are the only soul in this realm interacting with figments of your imagination, and how your consciousness is an aspect of the prime that pre-exists. Now, these are deeper topics, but once again, do not believe a thing I've said though. Reality test, then see what kicks. And you may just notice that there were way more options available than flipping your lid and flying off the handle as you Control C and Control V an old response into a predictable argument as the predator of consciousness absconds with your true potential. But that's a deeper topic. Remember, if someone else can put you on tilt, that means your center is in them, and they have more power over the directional aim of your consciousness. Doesn't enslaved describe that state best? Well, now you have the key to freedom, my friend. Till we meet again.